You know, we have this natural intelligence we were born with. It's been there for thousands of years. It exists within all people, and we call it heart intelligence. It's a high-speed intelligence. It's an intelligence that manifests in different ways. It's not just physical. It's physical, it's emotional, it's spiritual, and it's practical. It's that part inside that I would call our authentic self, that place we go to inside when we want self-security, when we can't solve our problems through the logical linear processes. It's that place we get to when we dig deeper, looking for meaning and understanding. It's a part of ourselves that we go to and find that allows us to move beyond our mediocrity. It's that place we get into where we achieve things that we thought we couldn't. You know, it is really, in my opinion, what I've learned is just my own best friend and my own most reliable guy that is there for me to help make the decisions that I need to make as I navigate life. Decisions can be big ones or little ones. I guess another way of putting it would be that it's the hero within. It's that place inside. And it relates to heart. And part of what we've been able to do with HeartMath is to show the physical heart being more than a blood pump. And you know the story on all that. We've talked about that many times.
Yeah,
on your
let's
show,
talk about it. It might be some new
okay.
folks. Let's talk about it.
Well, you know, you can, like I said, heart intelligence is multidimensional. It's physical, it's emotional, it's spiritual, and then you bring it right back down to practical, you know, in how we make decisions in life. On the physical side, that's where we knew we could build a bridge. When we started HeartMath, we knew that heart in general had been sort of held up in the confines of spirituality and philosophy. And so it was respected and honored, and people knew about it, but they didn't really make it a part of their life in a consistent way. We also knew that when we started HeartMath, we wanted to have societal impact on a larger scale, and we didn't want it to be just relegated to people who were interested in heart-related things. So we had to build a bridge, and we chose science. We never wanted to take the heart out of heart by using science, but we wanted to give it that empirical solidness to it so that it could be more accepted. To me, the way it works is this: when something becomes empirical, proven, and that sort of thing, the belief in it increases. And I can tell you that there's a chair sitting here, but if I can show you the chair, then there's
Yes.
a lot more belief in the chair. So early on, we began to do research on the physical heart, looking at the heart to see if there was more going on than it being a cardiovascular organ. And what was interesting is we found that there was already research literature scattered out around the world that showed that it was. But nobody put the pieces together. Nobody connected the dots and told the story. That's what our scientists did. And they put it in a context that someone like me, who is not a trained scientist, can explain to someone else and the other person can understand. So we know, for example, that the heart at a physical level is the most amazing pump that there is. Nothing even comes close to its efficiency in terms of what it does as a cardiovascular organ and pump. But it's also now well known it's an information processing center in our bodies. It actually sends and receives information. It sends information throughout the entire system to the brain and all the rest of the body. It does it in 4 ways. One is neurological, very complex nervous system that exists in the heart, studied through the field of neurocardiology. Who knew there was a field of neurocardiology? Next to the brain.
So that's like the brain tissue is basically on the heart itself.
There's 40,000 neurons in our heart,
for
which are
God's
brain
sake.
cells, you know,
Isn't
and
that something?
it's distributed through the heart, and it communicates with a nerve pathway that starts in the heart, goes up and through the brain, through the lower centers in the brain, then right into the limbic system, which is the mid-level brain where a lot of emotional processing takes place, and then terminates in the very highest perceptual centers in our brain, neocortex. So you have this neurological conversation. That's one way. The second way is through blood pressure waves. When you feel your pulse, what you're really feeling is a wave of energy. It's pushing the blood through the veins and arteries. When the heart squeezes and pumps, it creates energy that pushes the blood. And that's called a blood pressure wave. And blood pressure waves influence a lot of the body's functions. One of the main things they influence are electrical activity in our brain.
Wow.
As changes occur in the blood pressure waves, so does the electrical activity in the brain.
Is that right?
That's right.
For gosh sakes.
The third way is hormonal. And this is another one of those interesting facts that who knew, you know, in 1983, the heart was actually reclassified as part of our hormonal system.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a cardiovascular organ, hormonal gland. It produces several hormones. One of those is called atrial peptide. One of atrial peptide's jobs is to reduce the release of the stress hormone cortisol.
Wow.
Isn't that interesting? You have a hormone produced by the heart that's backing off a stress hormone.
That's found in the kidneys, the adrenals.
Yeah.
Wow.
It also produces oxytocin. Many of your
I
listeners
didn't
have
know
heard
that's
of
where
that.
it came from. Comes from the heart.
Oxytocin is produced in the brain as well as the heart. Now research is starting to show that the heart may be the largest producer of oxytocin.
And that's the bonding chemical.
The love hormone,
Yeah,
they
the
call
love
it.
hormone.
And, hormones produced in greater amounts when we're in loving states, like maybe a mother with a young baby. And those are what we call hardwired biological communication pathways. Where it goes now is where it's more fun for me, and that's in the energetic understanding of heart.
Okay.
The heart is an electrical organ. It produces by far the strongest source of electrical energy in our bodies, 40 to 60 times more than the second most powerful source, which is our brain. This electrical energy goes to every single cell in our bodies, and it's what it's measured when a doctor measures your EKG. They see the big bump, that's an electrical signal that they're picking up from the heart. That signal is strong enough that it creates an electromagnetic field. It surrounds us in 360 degrees and extends beyond our skin out into space about 3 to 4 feet. Wow. So we have this field being produced by the heart, and the field actually changes.
That's measurable. That field
It's
is
measurable.
measurable.
I'm not talking about an R or subtle energy. I'm talking about electromagnetic energy that's very measurable, measured with something called magnetometers. In my book, The Heart Math Solution, we reported on the Menninger Clinic's findings and said they measured it 8 to 10 feet. Our researchers using magnetometers, which they felt were a more reliable measurement tool, say 3 to 4 feet, but nonetheless, we're interfacing electromagnetically. That field changes depending upon what we're feeling emotionally. If we're feeling frustrated, it produces this very irregular frequency pattern in the field, what's called an incoherent spectra. Conversely, when we start feeling emotions that are associated with heart, like love and compassion and care and appreciation, it produces what's called a harmonic spectra, a coherent field occurs. So we're literally broadcasting this. Now, if we move beyond the confines of Newtonian physics and we go into quantum physics, which take off some of the limitations of time and space, then this whole field understanding gets very interesting. Now we're starting to talk about how my field relates to your field, how the collective field in a place like a town or a city or even in a movie theater or something, how that field is relating electromagnetically and energetically to one another. And then the Global Coherence Initiative is about looking how the collective field of humans interfaces with the energetic fields of the earth. So this is where it all sort of begins to tie together. I think science is showing us all now that we are all connected, that we are all living in a field of energy that is reflecting back to us not just what we think in our minds, but especially what we feel in our hearts. And that as we learn to be more heart intelligent, as we learn to manifest the values and principles and emotional qualities of the heart, and we live our life from that place, we imprint this field that then reflects that back to us.
Wow, and
So-
that's the notion of being the creators. That's what many people on Healing with the Masters talk about, the creative force that we are. So when we're in coherence, we're in a place of opening that creative force.
Coherence is like focus energy. Our co-creative powers increase dramatically when
Okay.
we're in a coherent state versus randomly. You can take the light that we're in right now for this interview, and it's designed to be rather random. If you took the same power in one of these lights and put it into a laser, it would burn a hole right through this floor.
Right.
So the coherent power of our intentions, to co-create, when we're more coherent, then that co-creative power increases rather dramatically. We're living in an era right now of heightened co-creativity fueled by universal source facilitation and self-initiated effort.
Ouch. Tell me more about that.
We are living in an era of heightened co-creativity
Heightened co-creativity.
fueled by facilitation from universal source and self-initiated effort.
Wow. So it feels like that's kind of leading into the third piece, which is the self-initiated piece. So how can we more and more take responsibility for finding that inner peace and self-initiate into this new world that we're living in?
Well, that's where, you have to sort of ask yourself, what's next, what I need to do, and not make it a push and drive kind of a thing, but what are the things that I need to work on? What are I'll use another term, a hinge point. There's a point where a gate opens one way or the other. There's all these little moments in the day that are hinge points. And this is going to create fulfillment. This is going to create stress. This conversation is going to create conflict and discord. This one's going to create harmony. It's like there's all these things. And then there are the big ones too about what we do for a living, who we're married to, all those kind of things. But there's all these hinge points. And so it requires a slowing down just a little bit to access the intuitive discernment we need to navigate the hinge points. And so the first thing is you're going for people that want to find out what's next in terms of their self-responsibilities, to ask for it. ask inside yourself, look, I want to know, what's next, what I need to do, and to be able to ask from a solid place, a secure place. It's not fearful of change or fearful of what the answer may be.